UFC 320, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2, going down Sunday the 5th of October in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. This is my first predictions video, so I'm only going to be doing the main card. Yeah, let's get into it. First fight on the card, Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. I'm going to go with Joe Pyfer by decision. If it was a 5-rounder, I think one of these guys would probably finish each other. But because it's only a 3-rounder, I think they'll just about survive. And these guys' ability to pace themselves is poor. So I think they'll both kind of waste their finishing ability early on in the fight. I think these fighters are quite similar, to be honest. They're both quite muscular, a sort of average height for the division. Joe Pyfer's very powerful, and I think I've been a bit disappointed in his ability to improve his fight IQ. I was hoping after the Jack Hermansson fight, which is actually his only loss in the UFC, I thought he'd be a little bit more thoughtful about when to use his power. And to his credit, he did get a first round finish after the Jack Hermansson loss. But he's now had a decision over Gastelum, which he clearly won. But I don't think it bodes well in terms of how good people expected him to be. And I think most people by now thought he was going to be somewhere, chomped into the top 15, shall we say, maybe like a 12 rank spot or something like that. That being said, I think Abus has kind of, I don't want to say peaked, but if he was ever going to be amazing, or at least like solid, I think he would have probably proved it by now. He is on a 4-fight win streak, I believe, a 3-fight win streak. And to be fair, his only losses are to Sean Strickland and Kaio, so, no shame in that. Yeah, my prediction on this is tentative. I definitely wouldn't be shocked if Abus Magomedov won this fight, but I have a very slight lean towards Joe Pyfer, and I think in a 3-rounder, they'll just about be able to survive each other and have enough energy to keep their defense good enough to avoid the big power shots. Next fight, Josh Emmett versus Youssef Zalal. I am not looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be easily the most boring fight on the main card. I watched Youssef Zalal fight Calvin Kattar, and he had a fantastic footwork, but he also avoided him a lot. And if he's avoiding Calvin Kattar, who has respectable power, I just want you to envision what he's going to do when he's fighting somebody like Josh Emmett. I think he's going to be dancing around the octagon. I think he's going to win quite easily, but I think it's going to be incredibly boring. He's been doing very well recently. I certainly think he's a good fighter. He is undefeated since 2021, with the only kind of exception to all of his wins is a draw against Demont Blackshear, who I rate quite highly. So I certainly think he's a good fighter. He's been getting he's got a lot of submissions. Okay. 3 submissions. I wasn't aware of that. But I think, judging by the way that he fought Calvin Kattar against high levels of competition, and especially someone as lethal as Josh Emmett, I think he's just going to avoid him. And yeah, it's a 3-rounder. I think he'll be fine avoiding that for that long. Josh Emmett, I think, has quite a limited game, and I think he's just going to kind of walk him down and follow him and fail to kind of close him up against the side of the cage. Josh Emmett has also lost 3 out of his last 4 fights. So, yeah. Next fight on the card, Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree, which I think is going to be the best fight on the card. I'm going to go with Yuri Prochazka by decision, which might surprise people, considering he's never been to decision, win or loss, in his whole time in the UFC. But let me talk about this. So I think if someone's fighting Yuri in a 5-rounder, the odds of them being able to keep themselves safe for that long with the way he attacks is really, really low. And the only way that they'll win that is if they finish him. Whereas at least in a 3-rounder, I could see Khalil stealing 2 rounds, getting away with it, and then just surviving one and just about pulling through because his skill level is clearly at the top of the division. Obviously, that's not my prediction, but I think it's at least possible. Whereas I think if this was a 5-rounder, I think it would go similar to Khalil versus Alex Pereira, where Khalil did all right at the start, but just couldn't keep up that pace, and then eventually kind of he got battered, let's be honest. Yuri has never lost to anyone in the UFC except for Alex Pereira, so I think that's an important piece of information. Yuri also has more first-round finishes in his MMA career than Khalil has fights. Khalil, I feel like he's a bit of a late bloomer. Yuri's always been elite in the UFC, whereas Khalil he started to do better now. I'm not saying that that's really significant, but I think it's something worth considering. Do I have any other notes for this? Yes, Yuri's head movement looked fantastic against Jamal Hill. I think he's still evolving. I think both of them are still evolving. I think Khalil's still getting better. Khalil looks very, very improved against Alex, and then he also looked, I think, even better against Jamal Hill. If I was comparing their performances, I think Yuri looked more dangerous against Jamal Hill, but less defensively sound. So it was I wouldn't say either one of them did better or worse, even though Yuri finished Jamal. It's just that Yuri's style is live by the sword, die by the sword, and Khalil's is a little bit more responsible. So I think, Khalil's was a confident domination over 5 rounds, and Yuri's was a slightly more crazy destruction. But he also looked like he was in more danger from Jamal Hill. It was quite I don't know if a nail bite is the right word for the fight, but it was, it was exciting. So yeah, I'm going to go with Yuri by decision. I know that's weird, and that will be his first decision win if he did, but I think Khalil is good enough to survive, but not good enough to win. I think Yuri will probably win. I'm going to say he'll win 1 and 3. I think Khalil will be a little bit whoa at the start with Yuri's pace. I think he'll win a round, and then Yuri will say unacceptable, and then he's going to come back and beat the brakes off of him in round 3. So yeah, Yuri by decision. Next fight. Merab versus Corey Sandhagen. I've got Merab by decision. I think Merab is the best bantamweight of all time, and over these past few fights of Merab's, there has been many times, too many times, where I've gone, this fighter he's fighting against, they've got this little thing, they've got this attribute, and I think that'll just be enough so that they can beat him. That's going to be enough to get that X factor, that edge, and I'm always wrong, and I'm done with it. I'm no more. I'm not a Merab doubter anymore. I know Corey Sandhagen's a very good fighter, but there's other people that I would have expected to beat Merab who didn't. I've been proven wrong too many times, and I cannot deny the greatness of Merab. I think it's more than just cardio. I think we can kind of see that with his pretty early finish over Sean O'Malley in his last fight. But yeah, Merab, every single time I kind of think, this might be the guy to do it, I'm always wrong. Like, let me walk you through how I viewed his last few fights. So or against the really elite people. When he fought Petr Yan, I would have expected Petr Yan to defend the takedowns, of which most he did, and then because he defended the takedowns, he could then easily outbox Yan and beat him up after Merab, shot. But that's not what happened. He just kept shooting over and over and over and over again, and Yan had no chance to get on the offense after that. Even in a 5-rounder, which Petr Yan usually does really, really well in, he didn't really adapt. He just kept going and going and going. Even though he defended the takedowns, it didn't really make a difference. He just kind of got smothered. Against Sean O'Malley, I kind of thought, well, Sean countered Aljo. Aljo, goes in for the takedown. He gets sniped. I thought Merab's defense is not great. He's a bit goofy. I think he's going to get sniped as well. It didn't happen. And it didn't happen in 2 different fights. Umar. I really, really thought Umar was going to beat Merab. I really did. By the way, I didn't think Sean O'Malley was going to win both of his fights against Merab. I thought the first fight, he could knock him out. The second one, I was like, nah. But when Umar fought Merab, I thought, okay, Umar's got very good grappling. He will defend the takedowns. Surely he can beat him up on the feet. And it didn't happen. He did well, though. He did well. And I still think Umar has the best chance in the division to beat Merab. Corey does not. I think Corey will lose by decision. I think he's definitely good enough to survive. He's defensively sound. He's got a long reach. He's tough. And I was impressed with his submission, defense, and scrambles against Umar. So that's a good thing. But no, Merab is, everyone knows this. He's a freak of nature. It would be stupid for me to bet on Corey, even when he gives his speeches, and they're very motivational. I'm not going to be delusional. I'm going with Merab. Main fight of the night: Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. I'm actually picking this one now. I'm picking all of them now, to be honest. I've had an idea, obviously, but I think I'm going to go with Alex Pereira by decision. I do think Alex Pereira was a bit lazy for his preparation for the last fight. I do think he was goofing about. I do think that he was, going to parties, going to meet and greets too much. I think it might have been a little bit of a mental tactic against Magomed Ankalaev. I don't know if maybe he didn't actually take him seriously and he thought he'd walk through him without training, but if he did, he kind of deserves to lose. But yeah, Alex Pereira definitely seems quite pissed off. I don't know who's been watching their interactions with one another recently, but there seems to be a little bit of heat there, especially from Alex's side, which is rare to see. Sometimes that it is a negative thing, and it negatively affects fighters' judgment and ability to focus. But I think it will be good for him, and I think he looks fast on the pads from what I've seen recently. In their last fight, it was a bit weird because Pereira did well where Magomed should have done well, and Magomed did well when you expect Alex to do well. So Alex defended every single takedown, but then Magomed was beating Alex on the feet for quite a few sections of the fight, especially in the boxing department. Alex Pereira was still landing quite a lot of leg kicks, so I don't want to make it seem like he was hopeless or he had, he was getting easily walked down, because that's not true. But Magomed certainly did better than I think most people were expecting. Yeah, so how I picture this fight going: Alex Pereira defended all of the takedowns last time. Perhaps this time he won't, because he wants to get involved a bit more. And the reason that he could defend them all last time, because that's was because that was all he was thinking about. But assuming that he still takes it seriously, I think he should be able to defend at least most of them. And even if he does get taken down, I wouldn't say Magomed is known for lethal ground and pound. So other than a time-wasting tactic, I think he'll be all right. I do worry about Pereira getting held up against the cage loads in this fight and then losing a boring decision. But hopefully he'll be able to do enough damage in the times where they're in open space on the feet and get the victory. I am rooting for Alex Pereira in this fight just because he's more interesting. I think this fight will be close, and I also think it will be more exciting than the first one. The first one was alright. It was an alright fight, but I think this one will be a bit more exciting, and Pereira, I think, will get stuck in more, and he'll get stuck in earlier. I could see him looking for a finish later on in the fight. I'm going to say he won't get it. I think Magomed will survive, but yeah, I think he's gonna put it on him, and in the later rounds, I think he's gonna show championship mentality. Okay, guys, that concludes the main card for UFC 320. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.